Hey guys, and welcome to the Chroma side of YouTube. Now, guys, I know I haven't been posting, I didn't post any last week, but I have to tell you, the Florida trip that my man and I took was awesome! We saw quite a few awesome rock and roll bands, and it was even really cool because May 5th was his birthday, and one of the bands called him on stage and sang happy birthday to him in front of everybody. It was really epically cool. So that being said, with all that happening, I did not post. Now, with going into this week, I have awesome sauce, cool ideas. I actually found a brand of acrylic. Now, I'll tell you right now, guys, I'm not the richest person in the world. I'm sure that you guys aren't the richest people in the world. You guys are just creative and you look at stuff and you say, hey, I can make that. And you do it and it's awesome, right? Why go out and pay this much money or X amount of money when I can do it at home? That's totally my mentality when I got started to doing art and creating and all that good stuff. That being said, I have to do things on budget because I do work for a living, and my money, you know, that whole song, she works hard for your money, that is me. I work hard for my money, so I buy things that I can afford and I try to live within my means. That being said, Artist Loft is always something that I can afford. It's my lean-to, it's my go-to. This is $2 a bottle. You get a pretty good, you get 4.6 fluid ounces in this. The thing about Artist Loft is it's cheap. I mean, let's just you know, break it down and keep it real with you guys. It is cheap. It doesn't really tell you about what is mixed in with this to make it non-toxic. But it is non-toxic. But it's cheap. There's no guarantee of how long the shelf life on your painting is when you use this. It's just, you know, cheap acrylic, which is fine when you're pouring acrylics and it's such a new art form that people don't have these statistics anyway. Its light fastness is a level 2, which is okay. All right. It is an opaque paint. Now, I wrote these things down because that's what the bottle tells me, and that's pretty much the information I have. I'm sure you can go on the Artist Loft website, if there is one, and get more information on this particular paint. But there are fillers in this paint. There's something in here that just, you know, have you ever mixed too much water with this and it's kind of gotten up to a lighter green than what's in the tube? That's because there's fillers in this. So I found an alternative to a softer body acrylic paint, which would be Artist Loft or the Artist Loft Flow acrylic, which is Rhys heavy body acrylic paint. Now let me go get my little card on this because I'm going to read off what it actually, the information that I got in the package. I have my coffee. Okay. Okay, so first things first, it comes in this package like this. And, like, of course, it slides down into a plastic thing that holds it on. And then the packaging says, I dream of painting and then I dream, by Vincent van Gogh. And, first, it has color tips and painting tips on the inside of the packaging. So I'm going to set this aside and I'm going to read to you what's on the tube first. This is sap green, which I picked sap green in both things because I tried to keep it as fair as possible. The opaqueness is a full opaque like that, so I can write that down on my thing. And theirs is a circle, so I'll make it a circle just because I did the same thing for Artist Loft. And they do a, when they're telling you if it's transparent, semi-transparent, opaque. They do basically the same thing that Artist Loft does. They show a little circle, and if it's semi-transparent, they'll show a little bit of the circle missing. If it's full opaque, it's all black. And then if it's transparent, it'll be a half. You get the picture. Okay. This is a heavy body acrylic. And then on the back, it says, professional grade heavy body acrylic paint. 100% color fast. Conforms to ASTM D-4236. That's what the back of the tube says. So this is, no matter what, color fast. And all of their colors are color fast. They're guaranteed. On the back, it is handmade, crafted in small batches so that their pigment acrylics are rich and bold. 100% pure, zero fillers or extenders. 100% color fast, which means that our colors will never shift or fade, guaranteed. So that's what the back of the packaging says. That's what you can read when you're in the store. Then you have all these awesome tips on how to mix their colors to get all of the colors that can be possible out there. They also have tips on how to paint certain items, like use a knife and the Rhys paint applicator to blend certain things to make roses. It says keep your brushes clean when done painting, clean your brushes, you know, little tips, which I thought that the packaging in this was awesome. Now let's talk about price point. See, when I first started watching acrylic pours and trying acrylic pours, I thought, hot dog. The only thing that I can afford is Artist Loft. Then after I got into it and I decided, you know, I'm going to seriously start doing this, I started buying Dollar & Ronnie and Master's Touch and Liquitex, which you guys know all these brands. If you watch multiple pour videos or some of my pour videos, you've seen me use these brands. I've also tried house paints, which honestly, the house paints, I'm not a huge fan of. It's all different textures, and it's hard to take care of. Now, I did buy expensive stuff, like this. This is the next level up to me, like cost-wise, from all of those other brands that I had talked about. These are fluid acrylics, and these are basically pure pigment in here. They are light fast, but they are very expensive depending on the color you buy. These are priced due to pigment used in these paints. So you could pay $5 for one color and $13 for another. So where did I find this paint? Hobby Lobby. How much did I pay for it? $3.59 for this paint. I always thought heavy body acrylic was way much more expensive than Artist Loft. And that, my dear friends, was way further from the case. I bought this from Hobby Lobby and I paid $3.59 for it on sale. It was on clearance on their website, and that's how I bought all of these colors. I did make swatches of the colors that I bought. Orange, pink, gold, violet, crimson, magenta, silver, Mars black, sap green, lake blue, burnt sienna, raw sienna, cobalt blue, cadmium red, magenta orange, magenta ocean green, yellow, pale yellow, phthalo green, cobalt green, unbleached titanium, Prussian blue, and ultramarine blue. So I bought all of these colors and I spent less than $100. Now, I got curious. I was like, oh man, what if I turn out to really love this paint and I can't find it at Hobby Lobby anymore because it was on clearance. You can go to www.brayrhys.com and buy it from there. And turns out Hobby Lobby actually had that priced out a little more expensive, and they only charge around $3 to $4 for these tubes anyway. So guess what? You can afford heavy body acrylic paint, which to me, I don't know if that was a beginner mistake or what, but now I'm going to start pricing out all these different heavy body acrylic paints just to see if I got a good deal or if this is worth it. But honestly, for it to be professional grade heavy body acrylic paint, I paid that much for it. I'm happy. Now, I'm going to do a pros and cons list on how this paint mixes. And I did play around with this, as you know, that I mix my colors before I start filming on Monday mornings. So around lunchtime I start filming my videos, and with that being said, all my paint's already mixed. So I have played around with this this mixing ratios and how to mix this. I did make a very, very, very bad mistake when I first played with this paint. I put my paint in here and I was like, oh wow, that really is like super heavy body acrylic, right? Then I put all of the Floetrol that I intended to put in there, I put it all in there at once like I normally do with my Artist Loft acrylic paint. No, no, no. You cannot do this. I found out that I have to squirt a little bit in at a time to keep it in a creamy consistency until it gets to a more loose consistent, more like this consistency. Because if you pour it all in at once, it'll be clumpy and it'll be almost impossible to mix all those clumps out. Learned that the hard way, and I actually ruined one of my Floetrol strainers because I had to end up straining the paint after I did that horrible mistake. So with that being said, let's write heavy body acrylic comparison. Heavy body, soft body is what I'm going to say, just because it makes sense. Okay, so first things first, let's get to, I'm going to write down time mixing longer, because you have to add a little at a time, and I'm just going to put that a little at a time. So that's something to note when you get heavy body acrylics. Now, that may not be a big deal to most people. I'm going to go ahead and start putting my portions in here because this video is going to be kind of long for a experimental video that I'm not even painting in. I'm just showing you guys my mixing technique for this heavy body acrylic versus the Artist Loft paint, because I feel like this is important stuff to know. What if someone who doesn't know the difference or just begins to paint, finds this on sale somewhere, buys it, and then they can't use it because they don't know what to do and what not to do. So here we go. I am just going to I'm going to try and stay kind of the same. So already, let's see. I'm going to just use one of these sticks that I have already mixed with. in the past because they're there. So as you can see, that is really heavy. There's no drippage. It's it barely moves when you touch it. It's very thick, and it's very goopy. It would be great to play with a palette knife though. Now this one, you see how it kind of drips more? You see how it moves more with my stick, and this one didn't have any, like I scooped and I picked it up and there's no elasticity. This comes with me. You see that? So there's the difference. I'm going to take my Floetrol. I'm going to add first. First things first, I'm just going to add it to this one. Now this is how I usually do my Artist Loft. I just put in all the Floetrol I want for that time, and then I start mixing, and you see how easily it mixes. Super easy. I might go ahead and scrape the sides on that. Now this is the thing with mixing, you guys. You have to mix until it's creamy. I'm going to pull this up over here really quick and scrape my sides. I'm trying to do everything on camera, but sometimes, you know, you got to bring the paint to you. So that took, man, I should have a timer here. Oh well. So that one's pretty much mixed out. There are a few clumps in there, but what I normally do is it mixes itself out when I add the water. So I'm going to leave that be. So that being said, if I were to do that straight away with this heavy body acrylic, it would go clumpy and it wouldn't smooth out. So like I said, a little at a time. So I go about that much. That's like 3 squirts. It's not even enough to even make this runny. And you see how it's already like super clumpy, and I just touched it with my stick, basically. You see that? Really, really clumpy. So you really have to work it in. Especially on this first this first squirt of Floetrol. Just to let you guys know, I mixed up enough paint for 4 paintings so far. I'm holding off on one because I've got a theory that I'm going to test out. But usually I mix enough paint for 5 paintings, and it takes me about an hour, hour and a half to do all of that, but sometimes 2, depending on however many colors I mix. But I watched an entire Marvel movie while mixing paint today because I used, this is the first video I'm going to do with this Rhys, and so I used a lot of the Rhys today. And so it took me a little bit longer to mix because I have to mix a little at a time. And as you can see, I'm still mixing and it's still clumpy. I'm going to add a little bit more Floetrol in the hopes that it'll help me smooth out some of those clumpy clumps. Now, I feel like I should use less paint when I use this stuff because there are no fillers. And I'm basically putting fillers in it. I'm putting the Floetrol in there and the water, which basically makes it move and all that stuff. So is that technically a filler? I don't know. but it's like 100% pure, so I feel like I could use less and have the same pigment portions, I don't know, pigment, like it would show up the same color if I use less. You know what I mean? Like if it's green right here, it's going to be green on the painting. True to color. That's what I'm thinking of. It would be more true to color, even if I used less. Ooh, I got another thing to do after I get done mixing. So I feel like I'm still really clumpy. So as you can see, now that I'm getting it more to a creamy consistency, I'm adding a little more at a time. Because I know that it won't go super clumpy. Now, I have to see. I have to check this because is that a clump or is it a air bubble? I think it's a clump. I'm not quite sure. Paint rag. Yeah, see, that's a clump. That's what a clump looks like. Alright. So, in doing that, I was checking if I actually have like clumps or air bubbles going on in here. Which kind of makes me sad. Because I just mixed all that paint, and I don't know if I got clumps or air bubbles in them. So, I guess when I stir my paints to do these paintings, I'll see. But you know what? That's something to write down on my comparison list. Clumps. Clumps. So I do straighten my flow trough, and okay, when I first got this paint, I was so excited to buy it. I actually did a test piece, just a small painting swipe, and I'm gonna grab it really quick and show you. Now, it did dry beautifully, and I do need to clean it still before I varnish it. So here it is. As you can see, it dried completely smooth, and the colors are true as to what they promised on the thing. However, I did strain my paint after I did that. So there you go. I strained my paint after I added my Floetrol and water and made sure that it was smooth. Now, honestly, I might do that anyway, just to do a comparison. Water time. I know I'm making a mess. And I'm mixing like a beast. Just beating them eggs. Make sure that you guys right there in that spot are still in focus. You guys are. It's a good flow consistency. Used about the same amount of water. Now, as you guys know, I eyeball mostly everything. I'm not very precise. I don't measure out my mix. That's why I use clear cups. I just don't feel the need to sit here and measure everything. That would just make my mixing 2 or 3 or 4 times longer. It's good mixing consistency. Now, I got another test going. Let me go get my stuff ready, and I'm going to come back to that. So guys, whenever you use this to strain your paint, whenever I use this period, I keep a bowl of water, and I always throw or rinse my strainer off in the water before I use it again. Number 1, so I don't contaminate other colors, and number 2, to keep this nice and clean so I can use it over and over again to strain my Floetrol. So that being said, I buy this strainer from the dollar store. I have many of them. They're cheap. They come 2 to a pack, and you can't, I mean, honestly, there's no point not to have those. So I have my cups here, and I'm going to strain these, and we're going to compare clumpage. So let's move this out of the way. This is the heavy body acrylic. Set my strainer on here, and we're going to just pour all of the color in there. And what I might do is I might end up straining all of my colors before I paint with them, just to make sure. Now, if I have to take this extra step and I achieve better paintings, or this paint I actually enjoy using better, more power to it. I'll do the extra step. It'll be worth it. If I don't see any complete changes or differences in the painting, then I'm not even going to bother with heavy body acrylics, because it's just easier to use what I know and what mixes well. So I've strained this out. I'm going to put my hand underneath it and try to get it up here and show you guys what I see. There we go. Do you guys see those clumps in there? So yes, there is clumps of paint in this. In this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it down here, and I'm going to clean off my strainer. I have my paint rag, and I'll end up wiping the strainer off a little bit. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I mix water into the paints, so there's that. And let's see if there's any clumps, or if there's a lot of clumps in the Artist Loft. Letting that strain, and guys, not one. Do you see that? Not one clump. So do you see what I mean by clumpy paintings? If those clumps were to be poured onto our canvases and then dried, you would have a lumpy painting. And I don't think that's very cool. You know, I think our aspiration here is to have a nice, beautiful, smooth painting. Nice and cleaned off there. So got that all cleaned off. Set that aside. Now, I did think of this as well. Move that. I'm just wiping off some of the water that I spilled just now, showing you guys my bucket. All right. Another thing I want to do is I want to take a I'm going to take a paintbrush, and I'm going to do a comparison stroke or swatch. This is going to be straight out of the tube, and I will label this when I get done doing this swatch. Straight out of the tube right here. Okay, and I'm just going to use my little bucket of water down here to rinse off my brush. Okay, and then I'm going to do, with the Floetrol added, and I want to see how they dry. I want to see if this, I just turned on the oven, you guys, to make me some lunch after this video. Okay. Now, I know it's not like evenly dispersed like the first one, but it is very fluid and it's on paper. So All right, now I'm going to close up my tube here. I want to see how this dries versus this, and I want to see if I'm getting this color in my acrylic pours. Now, can you guys see what I'm doing on that? Yes. Okay. All right. Now, where did our Artist Loft go? Okay, here you go. Okay. Same exact thing with the Artist Loft, straight from the tube. Honestly, to tell you the truth, like straight from the tube, Artist Loft is a little harder to spread than the heavy body, which kind of surprises me, honestly. Okay, paint rag, and now Floetrol. Okay. Tube. Tube. Floetrol. Floetrol. All right. So I did my swatch test, my clumps test. No clumps. No clumps. Time mixing is crazy. But let's see how it dries. Let's see how it works in paintings. So what I will be doing is for the next couple of videos, I'll be using the Rhys for my paintings, and we'll see how it looks. And then next week when we see each other again, I'll be showing you how this Rhys dried and if it dried true to color on my swatches that I already have. Also, I bought a sample pack of Winsor & Newton Galleria, and the reason why I did that is I see Anne-Marie Ritterhoff. She is a really awesome, talented, pouring awesomeness. I watch her all the time, and she uses Winsor & Newton Galleria, and among other, you know, paint options. And when she uses these paint brands, she swears by, she just gets beautiful work, and sometimes the paint doesn't mix the same way mine does. So what I'll do is I will be testing out the Winsor & Newton and seeing how it works. I decided to use all my yellows in the sample pack, and I want to try and do a small version of the commission piece that I did not too long ago, where I dropped the cup and made a mistakes, and it still ended up beautiful, and I'm going to do that again. So I have some new paints to try out, and I hope you guys find this as helpful as I found it. Like I said, so let's go over this. So this is a professional paint. It is difficult to mix. It has clumps, and you have to strain it twice. You have to strain the Floetrol, and then you have to strain your mixture. Light fast, oh yeah, guaranteed light fast. So if you sell one of your paintings, you don't have to worry about that. Time management on this one is a little longer, and it is opaque, and there are no fillers to this particular paint. That being said, we have Artist Loft. Mixing time is way faster, no clumps. Not so sure on the light fastness, but it says 2 on it, so maybe it's a little more light fast than number 1. I don't know. If someone would let me know what the light fast 2 means on Artist Loft, that would be great. And it stays pretty true to color, I have found in my pouring journey. I've really loved Artist Loft simply because it really does stay kind of true to color. I can't wait to see this one. I did in that blue painting. I loved the Prussian blue. You guys know me. I love Prussian blue and white, so I bought 3 tubes of unbleached titanium and Prussian blue. So you can tell that I'm excited about this paint. Anyway, so yes, I have a few things to do with this, and I can't wait to show you all how it goes. If you like what I do, and if you find this helpful, please give me a thumbs up for a like, hit subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications whenever I do new videos. If you see anything that I paint on this channel, you are more than welcome. If you're interested in buying it, oh, I got Prussian blue on it, on my little sign here. Well, that's an A. I can rewrite one. Should I rewrite it, you guys? I usually type out, well, I mean, you guys are on my channel. You know that's Chroma. ChromaStormArts@gmail.com is my email. You can always get in touch with me through there and let me know which painting you like if you would like to buy one. I also have a website. It is always posted at the beginning of the video, but I will tell you now. It is www.chromastormarts1.com. So if you've ever just want to go on there and browse and see what's available, you certainly can. Anyway, I hope you guys were inspired today. I hope you found this little discussion that I decided to have with you guys helpful, and I can't wait to try our new paints. And I hope you guys have a wonderful afternoon. Bye-bye, y'all.